Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be discussing the Bradley Beal buyout. He officially has been bought out by the Phoenix Suns and agreed to a 2-year $11 million deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. Congrats to Brad, man. I know it's kind of been a toxic breakup, but I have a lot of respect for Brad. I even threw on the Brad Beal jersey one last time for this video, and I even have my Bradley Beal bobblehead that's gonna be joining me. Say what's up, Brad.
You gotta play me. You gotta guard me. And guess what? Can't none of y'all guard me.
He doesn't really talk much, not much of a character, but yeah. That being said, guys, make sure to drop a like in this video. Comment down below your thoughts on the Bradley Beal buyout. And, send some best wishes his way. I know that, a lot of fans feel a type of way about Bradley Beal, but I'm going to discuss that in this video. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and let's get into it. But like I said, guys, it is official. Bradley Beal is officially a Los Angeles Clipper. He signed for 2 years, $11 million. Shout out to Brad. I'm sure his wife, Kamaya, is very happy. She's an LA native. So, going back to her roots, gets to go watch Brad play in LA. I'm pretty sure that family is probably pretty happy. But there is kind of a few remarks I want to make in terms of the buyout. I just want to say, shout out to Brad and his family. They have been super supportive of my page and my content. They're super cool people to talk to. A lot of people might not agree with me on this take, but I feel like a lot of the hate Brad got was kind of undeserved. At the end of the day, it's just basketball. That's just all it is. These guys don't give a fuck about any of our opinions. They'll go out there, get paid, and just hoop, man. They don't care what we gotta say. They really don't. Kevin Durant might. Shout out Katie. But yeah, I just feel like a lot of that hate was undeserved. Especially there were some weird ass fans. I don't even call them fans either. I'm just gonna say, just a lot of weird ass haters that were at the games, and then they were attacking Brad's family and making comments towards them, which is not cool at all. I'm honestly very disappointed in this fan base in terms of just how toxic we made this situation. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't have my opinions, and I wasn't frustrated with Brad myself, but we just kind of took it to a whole nother level, and it really wasn't deserved, honestly. At the end of the day, it's just basketball. I feel like that's kind of the subject, we're really losing. This isn't life or death. It's just an entertainment sports field that, these guys are top, they're just top tier athletes, and we go out there and watch them, and, I feel like a lot of us fans take the shut up and dribble thing a little too seriously. So yeah, and I know I might get a lot of slack for saying some of this shit, but I just kind of feel like it was just kind of it wasn't warranted, bro. It's not cool. I'm sure Brad is frustrated himself as well. He wants to be out there every game, and a lot of people point out the contract that the Wizards gave him. He earned that contract, man. He was averaging 30 points per game at the time on the Washington Wizards. And I feel like, a lot of people don't understand how hard that is to do, to be scoring 30 points per game on one of the worst teams in the NBA. They know Brad Beal is the main guy that they got to go out there and stop. There's no other offensive threats out there when he's in Washington. So, he deserved that contract. I know the no trade clause, etc. But that's just what you got to do when you have that franchise guy. And, shout out to Brad, man. Seriously. I used to fucking hate watching Bradley Beal play, and that's because he'd give the Suns hell every night he played us. So I was super thrilled when he was a Phoenix Sun, because I was tired of seeing that motherfucker kill us every night. And the Clippers really got it, dog, bro. Seriously, if they can all stay healthy, which is probably that's a huge thing. Kawhi's hurt a lot, James Harden, and Brad's kind of have some injury struggles the past 2 seasons. So they're gonna have a lot of things to overcome, but. If they can kind of put it together, they have a pretty solid roster. I'm not gonna lie. They just replaced Norman Powell with Bradley Beal, and they got some other pieces. So, like I said, though, I have my frustrations with Bradley Beal as well. But he did what the Suns asked of him. All these guys in the big three, I know it was a pretty big deal. The guys all sacrificed. These guys were all freaking killers, bro. They were all scorers. They were the main scorers on every team that they were on. And you put those three guys together, the fit just didn't work. All of them had to sacrifice. Brad sacrificed a lot. Book sacrificed a lot. Kevin sacrificed a lot. But that's just the thing that you got to do to go out there and try to win. And, you know, unfortunately, we just couldn't put it together in the court. It didn't work how we wanted to. We didn't have like a playmaker point guard. A lot of just roster construction problems. So at the end of the day, I'm not blaming the Bradley Beal. I'm not blaming Devin Booker. I'm not blaming Kevin Durant. I'm blaming the front office for not putting a competent roster on these three dudes. But at the end of the day, though, you know, both sides got what they wanted. It's a fresh start for all three guys, for Book, for Brad, and then for Kevin. You know, these guys all get a new opportunity to go do something, and, you know, it's best for all parties. I'm a very unbiased person when it comes to this stuff, because at the end of the day, it's just basketball, man. You know, it's not life or death. This isn't freaking politics. It's just basketball. It's just a hoops. It's a child's game that, you know, we all get to enjoy. And when we take it to a level of insulting family members and, you know, making stuff toxic for players' families, that shit kind of gets me, because it's not really cool. That's not something I really stand for. And, you know, I know people still feel a way about Brad, which is, you know, I understand. I 100% get it. So I might get a lot of, you know, slack for saying shit like this, but we got to do better as a fan base. And, you know, I'm excited for the new chapter of the Phoenix Suns, and all of us should just move on from this past Big Three era that we all had to deal with. Yeah, I just wanted to come on here and just make a few remarks about Bradley Beal. I know I made a video about Kevin when we traded him, so I thought, you know, Brad kind of gets his little farewell video from Suns Worldwide, which won't matter in the future at all, or won't even matter in the moment right now. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to drop a like in this video. Turn on post notifications after you subscribe, because I don't want you guys to miss out on videos like this. And, you know, once again, shout out to the Beal family. You guys have been super cool and supportive. I plan to stay in touch with you guys. You guys are super cool. So with that being said, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Peace.